global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Global Happiness Today YouTube channel. Indeed, times have changed, and one of the top politicians from Northern Extraction and a former SGF have decided to open up on a lot of things. One has to do with the 1 year tenure of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, how he has fared so far, and what the foreigners think. U.S. report concerning Nigeria thus far, 1 year of the reign of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and where Nigeria is heading, his standpoint of view, and why though has been a strong supporter of Peter Obi and has known personally the present President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his ambition and who he thinks he is and what may likely happen in Nigeria, and what he thinks really that is now time for Northerners to take over in 2027, having seen all despite the support. We're going to find out all of these in an interview he had. But before we do that, kindly subscribe to our channel. Let's start with why he thinks he prefers a Northerner in 2027. Then we'll look at what he thinks about the US report and of course his standpoint on Bola Ahmed Tinubu and will there likely be any changes if need be. Now, according to him, they asked him, that's the person of AGF, Baba Chalawa, former AGF, said, well, politics is dynamic, it is not static. And as the saying goes, a day can be a century in politics. Yesterday and today, there can be systematic changes in some political issues. Then I met with important people and said, if we want anything good for Nigeria, we need a southern president. For example, some of these insecurities where the headsmen are roaming around, intimidating and terrorizing people, kidnapping and so on and so forth. They believe and have this mindset that our government, nobody can do anything to us because the president is a Fulani. They had this impression that they are free to do whatever they want. But if we have a silent president, things will go down. Everybody will find its level. But the southerner is still on the seat, just 1 year into first tenure, while agitating for a northern president. He said, well, I tell you why. The north is disadvantaged in terms of economic prosperity, educational prosperity. Poverty is endemic. It is unassailable. It's all imaginable. There was poverty in the region before President Bola Tinubu entered now. He answered, I wasn't aware of people going to bed without one meal. That's strong. Now I'm aware. In those days, I know the middle class could come to Abuja with tender documents and bid for a job, and if you're lucky, you get it without knowing who is the minister. But these days, there's no job, no contract. We are so impoverished that we cannot risk another government coming to treat us. Then I asked him, wouldn't your friend Peter Obi be disappointed in you, having supported him in 2023? He said, I didn't join politics. Because of Peter Obi. Peter Obi didn't pay my school fees. I wasn't going to consider myself as a beneficiary of Peter Obi in government because I considered myself above that. But you could have. He said, no. I decided whether I would accept or not. So I realized that the North would be completely destroyed and annihilated if this government continued this way. Then I asked, don't you believe in equity that a northern president did 8 years? So a southern president, Tinubu, your friend, should do 8 years too. The same president, after we agreed that this guy would be one Muslim, one Christian, woke up and said it's irrelevant. So on what grounds would he claim 8 years, whereas he is the first person that threw away all those equity issues away? On what grounds? He has no moral right to claim it. That's quite strong. But let's find out how he has rated his government thus far. I guess they're getting very uncomfortable with what is going on in governance. Now, according to him, now they asked him a question. What's your response to US government's report that the 2023 election was fair and square? He said, what do you expect them to say? You see, in national politics most times, you want your own man there. You want somebody you can tweak to do your bids. This government, a lot of the ministers, for example, are residents from the United States of America. Most of their family members are there. Some, I understand, even have dual citizenship. So it will serve the United States of America interests. very well if such people take over Nigeria. So, what would they expect America to do? As the AGF, he said, could it be that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had a technical team before coming to power in May 29? Some people say he was consulting technocrat before his inauguration, though there was no transition committee. He answered, say yes, he didn't have that. I always say this. I am sorry to say this, but I will repeat it. The personality of Bola Tinubu is that I know it all. Is that of I know it all. They say the personality of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that of I know it all. It's his character flaw. It's his character flaw. He thinks he's smart. He thinks he's intelligent. They call him master strategist. And from my own personal knowledge, that was what drove that possibility, that outcome. Now, it has shown that he has failed in his evaluation of his own capacity. Taking such huge decisions, if you had that, if you have that competence, if this cabinet has the competence, even after he has done that, they had they have had sufficient time to work out mitigating strategies. But if they had the inclination to do it, we have not seen the consequences of its mitigating strategies. Former Governor El Rufai said government is still paying fuel subsidy and is running close to about 600 billion naira per month. And people are wondering, so what was the people are wondering, so what was the subsidy removal all about then? He responded, I for one, for example, didn't see where the subsidy was to start with, so I didn't. But do you think that the government is still paying subsidy? I told you I relocated to my village to avoid such stories. But for someone like Nisa El-Rufai to say such, if we take his words for it, that means you believe what he says. The presidency hasn't really fully denied that. But who is paying and who is collecting this subsidy? But who is he paying the subsidy to? Who are those collecting the subsidy? Who is paying and who is collecting the subsidy now? Who is paying the subsidy to? What is collecting the money? Or who is collecting the money? And of course, he has asked pertinent questions that requires answers. If the government is paying subsidy, there must be someone collecting the subsidy. Now, who is that person taking those subsidies? Now, from all we see and all we gather, there is more to it than meets the eyes. Well, let's go on. Of course, they've been talking. Baba Chalawa have been opening up on a lot of issues, asking questions like the cabinet. Is it that the cabinet is not talking to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not listening to the cry of the people? There's so much hunger in the land, and he cannot take the chances of a southerner also still becoming the president again after this tenure, because the last time the president was from the north, at least the common Nigerian, the common northerner could always walk into Abuja and get a contract. There was still middle class, but right now there is no middle class. Fulani herdsmen insecurity is still biting deep, and it clearly shows that there is more. And it's not a case of the northerners still being the president, but it's a case of not getting competent hands. And most of them, Tinubu believes that him going out and saying let the northerner take position and not Peter Obi is as if he has backstabbed Peter Obi. He's saying look, he only supported Peter Obi because he wants to support Peter Obi and not because Peter Obi is going to give him or have any benefit. He's looking out for his people, and from all indication, Bola Ahmed Tinubu may not have what it takes to take Nigeria off the problem we're facing right now. He went on and on, but wrap this up right now. Let's begin our conversation. What's your take on the standpoint of both Peter Obi, the standpoint of him towards Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the fact that he wants a northerner to take over the reins of power in 2027, and his standpoint on what the US government thinks about our country? Let's begin our conversation.
Global happenings today. We communicate.